Hey everybody out there, it's Pastor John with your Midweek Reflection. We have just finished our series on small packages, and I hope that you have seen through that series that some of these small books in the Bible are filled with good things, good words from God, and important instructions. And so sometimes we just kind of skip over those, or we're we're kind of like, oh, Nahum, Habakkuk, whatever. But there's a reason they're in the scriptures, and I hope that pay attention to them, and I hope we heed the good word that's in those small packages. So we are moving on in August to kind of a different and fun series, I think. Really thankful to Amanda Hartley for helping me out with this one. She is an art history major, and we are doing what's called Gospel on Canvas. And she's kind of guided me to look at the Sistine Chapel, which I know isn't technically canvas, but we're going to go with it anyway. And we're going to look at some of the scenes that Michelangelo painted on the Sistine Chapel and allow them to help us go deeper and reflect on some of the deep stories that they depict and that are really at the core of our faith in the gospel. They're stories of the creation, they're stories of the Garden of Eden, they're stories of Noah, and the story of the final judgment, as he depicts it anyway, on the wall. So we're going to be doing that this week. And one of the first, as you walk into the Sistine Chapel, which is the door opposite the altar. So on one end of the chapel, there's an altar where the Mass is spoken, and on the other side is the door where you go in. And what's interesting about the chapel is that as you walk in, you are going to be following the story backwards in a sense. So you're starting with the stories of Noah, and then closest to the altar, so stories from like Noah or Genesis 9, and then closest to the altar you have the creation stories from like Genesis 1 and 2. And you're going in reverse order. And this week we're going to be looking at why that is and how that symbolizes something really significant about the gospel. We have these pictures of the scenes of Noah that are the first thing we see when we walk in to this chapel and look towards the altar. So give you a chance to kind of think about why that might be. Why are we following the story backwards? What is the significance of having these images of, specifically the drunkenness of Noah is the first image you see on the ceiling. So what is the significance of having that picture as the first thing you see when you walk in? And then, maybe you could even think about if you were commissioned to paint the Sistine Chapel, this hugely important room. This is where the Pope is elected, and the Mass was celebrated for a number of years. If you were commissioned to paint this ceiling, where would you start? What would you paint? What images and stories would you try to convey to anyone who would walk in? So, some things to think about as we begin this series, Gospel on Canvas, and looking at the Sistine Chapel. I hope it's something that you enjoy, and I hope it's something that allows us to really go deeper into the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. As always, I look forward to worshiping with you as we live the gospel life together. And until then, may God bless you.